Shalom Mishpachim, welcome to His Narrow Bridge. Our time together today is meant to immerse ourselves in the Word of Yahweh. It is meant to be a personal time of connection to the Word for each of us. I will read each word as translated in English in an interlinear Hebrew Bible. These shows are pre-recorded, so I will be in chat when they air. Feel free to use the chat to post anything that comes to your mind as we read the word. We will begin with prayer, followed by time for each of us to say our own personal prayers. Our beloved friend Alan Horvath taught us, make Elohim number one on a list of one. We pray in the name of Elohim, which includes Yahweh, Yeshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh. Thank you, Elohim, for our lives and all you provide. We ask for a hedge of protection around our mishpacha as we pray and study. We love you dearly. We are your children. We come to you with questions as we seek our personal relationships with you. Please help us learn. If any darkness enters our time together, we ask you now to rebuke it. We will now listen to your word as we immerse ourselves in it and let it speak to us.
John chapter 2. And on the third day there was a wedding feast in Cana, a city of Galilee, and the mother of Yeshua was there. And Yeshua and his disciples were also invited to the wedding feast. And the wine was running out, and his mother said to Yeshua, "They have no wine." And Yeshua said to her, "What to you and to me, woman? My hour has not yet arrived." Footnote 21, idiomatic expression, "What do you want from me, woman?" Verse 5, his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he says to you." Verse 6, and there were 6 jars of stone that were set for the purification of the Yehudians, which held 2 or 3 measures. Yeshua said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the very top. He said to them, "Now draw some and take it to the master of ceremonies." And they took it. And when that master of ceremonies tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it was from, but the servants did know because they had filled the water, the master of ceremonies called to the groom, and he said to him, "Everyone first brings good wine, and when they have drunk, then they drink that which is inferior. But you have kept the good wine until now." Verse 11, this was the first sign that Yeshua did in Cana of Galilee, and he made known his esteem, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum, he and his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and they stayed there a few days. And the Pascha of the Yehudians was approaching, and Yeshua went up to Jerusalem. Pascha in Hebrew is Pesach or Passover. Verse 14, and in the temple he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and doves, and the money changers who were sitting. And he made a whip for himself from cords and drove all of them from the temple, even the sheep and oxen and money changers. And he poured out their exchange money and turned over their tables. And to those who were selling doves, he said, "Take these away from here, and do not make the house of my Father a house of bartering." And his disciples remembered that it is written that the zeal of your house has devoured me. 23 is Psalm 69, 9 and 10. Because zeal for your house has eaten me up, and the reproaches of those who reproach you have fallen on me. And when I wept and chastened with fasting my soul, that became reproach my. Verse 18, but the Yehudians answered and said to him, what sign do you show us that you do these things? Footnote 24, their response is an idiomatic expression. Prove to us you have authority to do these things. Verse 19, Yeshua answered and said to them, tear down this temple, and after 3 days I will raise it. The Yehudians said to him, for 46 years this temple was built, and you will raise it in 3 days? But he was speaking concerning the temple of his body. And when he rose from the grave, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scriptures and the word that Yeshua had said. So notice how they believe when they have proof in front of their eyes. Will they believe without the proof? Will we believe without the proof? Verse 23, and during the feast, while Yeshua was in Jerusalem at the Pascha, many believed in him when they saw the miracles that he did. 25 is a technicality. Verse 24, but Yeshua did not entrust himself to them because he understood every man, and he did not rely on men to testify to him concerning anyone, for he knew what was in man. Footnote 26 is 1 Kings 8:39 and Luke 16:15. 1 Kings 8, verse 39. Then you here in Shamayim place your dwelling and forgive and act and give to everyone according to all his ways, whose you know. You know heart for you, know alone the hearts of all the sons of men. May Yeshua know our hearts.
Ani מאמין, אני מאמין, אני מאמין, באמונה שלמה, בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, ויף על פי שישממיה, עם כל זה אני מאמין. אני מאמין, אני מאמין. I believe, I believe, I believe with reassuring faith. He will come, he will come. Oh, I believe Messiah, he will come. Oh, I believe, although he may delay, I believe he'll come. Ani maamin.
Vera has spent the last few decades moving mountains for research subjects, mostly children, minorities, and those with mental illness. During our conversation, Vera talks about her personal experience as a Holocaust survivor and her adulthood experiences that shaped her views on medical ethics.
When medicine veers away from the Hippocratic oath that promises to respect the individual right, to do no harm to the individual, then you're going to harm the community as well, because the community is a bunch of individuals. There are crossroads in life where you have to make choices. And if you don't, someone who will make the choice for you is not going to make it for your best interest. The idea of just following authority without considering, what if they're wrong? What if it's not in my best interest? I wouldn't want to live under such a regime. I know what it's like. I know what that is. I would not do it again.
In this second segment, Vera draws parallels to what she's seeing happen today and what her family saw in Nazi Germany. She also talks about the dangers of using children and minorities as research subjects and the dangers of blindly following authority, and what we can do to stand up to protect ourselves, our children, and the most vulnerable among us. I hope you enjoy the second part of my conversation with Vera.
This is a eugenics way of looking at the world. Eugenics was exported from the United States to Nazi Germany. It never was abandoned. It just got its name changed. So population control, there's a population council. There are all kinds of institutions that essentially continue to push the eugenics agenda with policies that they easily set because of the money. So some populations are targeted for weeding out. That's the eugenics kind of way of reducing populations. You weed out those who you consider lesser, inferior. The African American community, and also people of color in the United States, have in fact been very much targeted for medical experiments that were anything but medicine, that were really criminal. Everyone knows about Tuskegee and the syphilis trials on African American men. Black and Hispanic children have been used as guinea pigs repeatedly in experiments that should never, ever have been done. The experiments, the drugs, and the vaccines that they were testing were horrific. Is it too explosive or whatever to compare Nazism? I'm sorry, this is what Nazism was about. This is how they did things when they began with the children. The Jews in the Nazi order were the despised minority. And here we have the blacks and Hispanics being treated like a despised minority, like their lives don't count.
So how do we stand up for these issues in terms of, in this day and age, we're seeing, or in this specific time, we're seeing specific minorities being targeted?
We have to stop it, and this might be the trigger. If the African American community gets up and says no, and really says no, and we help them to say no, that's very important.
never say this is the final road for you. Though leaden skies may cover over days of blue, as the hour that we longed for is so near, our step beats out the message we are here. From lands so green with palms to lands all white with snow, we shall be coming with our anguish and our woe. And where a spurt of our blood fell on the earth, there our courage and our spirit have rebirth. The early morning sun will brighten our day, and yesterday with our foe will fade away. But if the sun delays and in the east remains, this song as password generations must maintain. Therefore never say the road now ends for you, though leaden skies may cover over days of blue, as the hour that we longed for is so near, our step beats out the message we are here.
For more information about these videos, look at the video description and click more. You can then have links to my YouTube channel and the YouTube playlist, which has all the Aramaic English New Testament videos, Bible Hub links, and Odiote. So this is useful because you can click a chapter and go word by word through the scriptures and get details about each word and where they are used throughout the Bible.